Now my privilege to sign the Homeland Security Act of 2002.
After the World Trade Center was attacked, President Bush created a new agency, the Department of Homeland Security. It would combine emergency management, border security, airport security, and so on. They said it would bring together the best intelligence information to protect America. Matt Mayer used to work at that new department. Now he's at American Enterprise Institute. He's a fellow for Homeland Security. So you work there. I assume you support their great work?
Unfortunately, they don't do much good work. They've been kind of mired in, bureaucracy for the last 12 years. And, I think if we saw a report come out today that they're the lowest morale among any federal employees, other ones that work for Homeland Security.
But why would they be more bureaucratic than the rest of the government?
Because it's such a unique agency. They combine pieces of so many different other agencies.
To make them more efficient, streamline, they always say.
Unfortunately, they didn't streamline. They just threw them together in kind of a big old alphabet soup, and all you get is just a mess of a soup.
And you worked there for 2.5 years, and you would, wander the hallways wondering what was going on? What were you doing?
Well, you can't even wander the hallways. They have like 30 buildings all around D.C., and you can't even manage it because, you're the secretary's in one spot and everybody else is everywhere else.
You've written this book, Homeland Security and Federalism, Protecting America from Outside the Beltway. This is a federal job, isn't it?
And it's not. There's an external component facing out of our borders that is a federal job. But when you get to the homeland, the tip of the spear is our local law enforcement. They know their communities. They have relationships in all the various places. They've walked the beat. They've developed those sixth sense. They see things that are out of
Just
sort.
leave them alone.
They know what they're doing.
DHS has nearly doubled its spending since its creation. And now both Democrats and Republicans say we got to give them more money.
The FBI and components of Homeland Security will need an increase in funding to help combat this threat that we see right in our homeland.
He's the congressman who heads the Homeland Security Committee. And we did have this terrorist incident, so the reaction is we got to give them more money.
Yeah, that's always the reaction of Washington. We spent a ton of money. It hasn't worked very well, so let's spend more money. Let's dig a hole deeper for the taxpayer. And that's just not the right answer.
And if they were really finding terrorists, I could understand it. But looking at what they're doing, they're questioning a guy in a movie theater who they think might be pirating the movie. He was wearing Google glasses just for the prescription on them. He wasn't recording the movie. They pulled him out. They quizzed him for an hour. They do investigations of pickpocketing, tracking down fraudulent Native American art. They instruct nightclub strippers to watch out for sex traffickers. Why?
Why? Because they put together all of these agencies that have such broad missions, and some of those missions are for things that have very little or nothing to do with terrorism. We are now learning that San Bernardino, there were lots and lots of dots out there that are, once again, our intel community missed. Why do they keep missing? Because all we want to do is pour more data onto the haystack, right? And that makes it harder to find the needle. We've got to be smarter about what data we're collecting, who's doing the collection of it.
Well, they're busy educating the strippers.
They're busy educating the strippers because strippers are a national security threat in America. Nobody needs to spend taxpayer dollars to educate folks on this.
DHS is also policing vendors who are selling counterfeit NBA merchandise. The San Antonio Spurs apparently had some stuff that was counterfeited.
This is why we've gone from $38 billion to $61 billion, from 180,000 employees to 240,000 employees in about 12 years. It's this just growth of missions without any idea of whether it actually works, keeps Americans safe, it has a return on the investment that our tax dollars go into this thing. So we've got to get back to basics, and it's not more money, it's how do we spend more money more effectively.
But the politicians get a return on their investment, so this is hard to cut.
They do, so when I was in Homeland Security, we used to send out those grants that everyone talks about, and I found out when I was there that there was a 3-day notice requirement. We had to send Congress notice that we were going to send the grants out 3 days from that date.
Why?
Why? Because they wanted to be able to scoop us and send press releases out in their local districts saying, hey, look what I brought home. I brought home this great grant to buy a pumper truck, to buy a SWAT unit. There's an inherent bias to spend money out of Washington, which is why we've got to get it out of there and into the hands of local law enforcement and folks that know what they're doing because they've been doing it for 100 years across America.